Okay, so in relation to question one in the interview podcast project, one thing that I really learned is how everyone enjoys the type of music that most musicians listen to, and it may not be the classical music, but I found out that the person I talked to, Christina, loved jazz music, and it was kind of like her secret music that she didn't really tell anyone about, but she loved it and would listen to it all the time when she's studying and stuff like that. And then I also found out that she loves experiencing music in other different cultures. And so, like, when she, for example, she went to the Dominican Republic, and she loved the music there and enjoyed it so much and just kind of listened to it all the time. And I found that fascinating. And she also kind of talked about how in her family, she's kind of the influence for music and she kind of introduces the music. And I think that relates to kind of everyone in that we all kind of have a different influence on people and the type of music we listen to. Whether it's we introduce new music or we kind of find out that we don't really like this music as much as we thought we did. And that's kind of based on maybe someone told you something about that music or just opened your eyes a little more to what was really happening in that type of music. Then, for question two, talking about the leadership project, for this, I worked on it by myself, and one thing I found that was kind of hard is making sure you have everything done on time. And I tend to procrastinate a little bit, and that really made me look for something that was fun and that I enjoyed to do so that I wouldn't procrastinate. I'd want to get it done and make it to my personal best ability that it can be. Kind of my best work that I've done. Then going to question three with the projects for uh, musicianship and working with DAWs, different notation software. One thing that I learned is that there are so many types of software or DAWs that you can use to make music, and that each one is unique in its own way, whether it's how it creates music or how you put in the music, like Soundtrap, for example. Instead of putting in the notes, it kind of you play what you want and it's kind of a line. But it's so cool because you know what the note is, but it shows the length of the note instead of the actual note. So you don't get a clear, decisive interpretation of what how long the note is actually. It's just kind of based on what's in the software, and I think that's so cool because it's different from everything else I've seen. And that's why for Soundtrap I loved it so much. Then when talking to people over Twitter and reading all these articles, I found a lot of fascinating things. And one of the biggest is how well we've adapted to make it accessible for any kid to use different instruments. And I think that's maybe the biggest thing I took away is that there's so many good ideas out there that band directors and people putting out there and creating for kids to have the opportunity to play and make music. And another thing I found interesting was these college kids, such as myself and everyone else in my class, we all have incredible ideas that are very interesting and some that are actually very beneficial to kids with special needs, or maybe they have disability or like a lost limb or something that they could use that we've come up with, and maybe we didn't come up with it ourselves, but we found that we could sort of spread the word so more people know. And the last thing, my overall takeaway from this class was probably that you need to always explore and try new things in the world of music. You don't want to just stick to one thing that you know. You kind of want to test your boundaries and experiment. And that's one thing that I loved about this class is we use so many different software, databases, DAWs. We learned about the different types of mics, and then the leadership project. It all allows you to experiment and kind of find what's right for you. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that the more we experiment, the more prepared we are, and the more we know in the world of music, and the better chance it gives later on in your teaching career when you have to explain all this stuff to your own students. And I think that's the biggest thing is that always experiment. Thank you.